All right, welcome to the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, and I have a special guest with me today. She is known as the one-eyed, thick-thighed weapon of all destruction, otherwise known as the WOAD. How are you, ma'am?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I'm gonna start off my interview by asking the question I ask all of my guests is when did you fall in love with wrestling?
Well, I've been watching wrestling. I can say, I think ever since I was 3 years old. I cannot remember a time when I wasn't watching wrestling. My grandma used to watch it. It was right here in Atlanta with WCW. They used to run their shows, so
Hmm.
I've always been a fan. I've always loved it, and yeah, ever since I was three, ever since I saw Macho Man Randy Savage jump off and give his famous elbow drop, that got me hooked. That's like my first memory of wrestling.
Oh, that's cool. Something like that. It's so funny you mentioned your grandmother and how she sort of started you to watching it. I have this theory in the back of my mind that deep down inside, when it comes to wrestling fandom, it's like black families have a tendency to start something off that that either tends to cut off or keep going down different generations. So I really feel like somehow or another that should be talked about a little bit more, but then again, I'm not sure if every black person or every black wrestling fan has had that experience or not. But I feel like that's the thing that should be explored a little bit more.
Well, I think that's definitely something that can be taken in consideration because our grandparents, they were around with the Hulk Hogan's, the Andre, the Giants. That's who they watch. So I'm pretty sure it definitely has an influence on future generations for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just like when my grandma, like she saw Ric Flair at the Boutwell here in Birmingham, Alabama, and Pat Patterson and all them. And then it's just like she exposed my father to it, and then my father exposed me and my sister to it. So it's just kind of a family affair type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool. So, when did you decide that you wanted to pursue it as a career?
I can say when I was 15 years old. That's when I've always loved wrestling, and I've always felt a connection to it. I always felt that I was meant to be a part of it. And growing up when I was younger, I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to be a wrestler. My parents thought it was funny because me being half blind. They're like, oh, well, you okay? Yeah, sure. You're a straight A student, but yeah, go get in the ring and let people knock you upside your head for a living, definitely. But when I was 15 years old, that was when it was solidified. I knew that was what I wanted to do. I knew that was something that I should make a part of my life, and that's something I feel that I was meant to be, and something I feel like I can make a change in. So yeah, and ever since then, that has always been my dream.
It's funny you mentioned how your parents were just kind of like, "Oh, you're making straight A's, but go ahead, be a wrestler and everything." I feel like maybe a lot of people kind of had those conversations like with their parents, like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a wrestler." And they're kind of like, "Huh?" Because that's not the average thing that you hear people say. Like you hear people
It
say,
definitely is
"Oh, I'm
not.
gonna be a doctor, or I'm gonna be a lawyer, or different other things like that, or I'm gonna be like
Yeah.
a dentist or a model or something." But they don't ever, you never think wrestling is gonna come out of your child's mouth.
Yeah.
So yeah, were they supportive of you in that
Not at
aspect?
all.
No.
Not
Oh.
at all. Like negative zero. And it really kind of bummed me out because, it's your parents, and you want them to see that this is your life and this is your choice, and you want them to know that, that they support what you do, even if they don't agree with it. And I did not get that from my parents, my friends, or my family. Now I do, and that's what really makes me happy because I could sit around, I can still think about the times when my dad wouldn't talk to me because I chose to not go off to college, not go to school, but become a wrestler. He stopped speaking with me. He made me stop speaking with my siblings, and it was really rough because coming from a large family, that was like the first time I really felt alone. And I told myself, well, if I got to be alone to make this dream happen, well, that's what I'm going to do.
And that's a good thing that you persevered, even through those hard times. So I can't even imagine being cut off from your family like that. But, at least now they really do support you in that now. Because I think that sometimes people don't it's like they don't support you maybe because they don't understand it, but then it's like once they see that you're flourishing at it, they tend to turn around and look and see that it's making you happy. So I'm glad that they are supporting you now, even though it started off kind of rough in the past.
Yeah.
um so how did you pursue your training when you decided to go all in on it?
Well, see, growing up, I just watched, what was on TV, WCW, WWF, uh, Monday Nitro, all that. So I wasn't aware of the independent scene here in Georgia. And I just started looking up wrestling schools in Georgia. And there was a local school here, right in Atlanta, that was owned by, I think, Curtis Hughes. And I went there and I was very disappointed because it wasn't what I thought it would be. It felt like they didn't take me seriously as well because, well, honestly, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it because I was a Black woman and I
Mm-hmm.
felt that they didn't see much success in me. I'm just gonna call it like it is. Yeah, and I felt that they were putting more time and effort into other students and not me. And I met my real trainer, Jay Fury, up there, and he told me, he said, if you really want to train, if you really want to become a wrestler, then come to PCW. And I left that school and I went to Platinum Championship Wrestling, and I trained there, developed my character work, find out what works best for me, I found out what works best, what techniques I could use to make myself better. And after that, I started training and wrestling on the road. And then I went to other training schools around Georgia. And right now I train with Nick Patrick up at Deep South Wrestling, and that's where I've been for a few months now, and I love it. And it's a great place to basically perfect your craft. It's a great way to make yourself better. It's a great way to really get yourself the way you want yourself to be in this business.
Okay. So it looks like you got a like a diverse amount of training, even though you started off at a school that didn't necessarily value you as a student, because you were a Black woman. And it is okay for you to say that here on the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. You are in a safe space. We're both Black women. I get it. Um, so I am I'm disappointed in the idea that they didn't see any value in you at first, but I'm glad that you continued to persevere through that and then find a place where you did feel safe and where you were taken seriously as a student.
Like,
Yeah.
the way I look at it, I mean, for years, wrestling has been, a white man's game for years
Mhm.
since the beginning of the time. It may make some people uncomfortable to hear that, but that's the truth.
Right.
And me being a curvy Black woman wrestling in the South, it has not been pretty. It still hasn't been pretty. They I feel to this day that uh Southern wrestling still hasn't really accepted Black women. I
Mhm.
still feel that they're not used to how we work. They're not sure how to use us, and that's sad to say because you know if you it's like this business is big enough for everybody, and you're telling me that you don't know how to use me simply based on my skin color. Like, does that really throw you much of a loop that, wow, just because this person is a different skin tone, oh my goodness, I don't know how to book them? Like, or you could just be a booker and book, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel definitely the South is definitely still has some things to work on. Like, even now, if you look at Southern wrestling, I'm talking about states like, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, you don't see that many Black women. You don't.
Right.
um there are definitely some, but it's not, it's not as many. And I feel like we have to work three times as hard just to even prove ourselves, because I feel that for the longest, Black women have been used as talent enhancement. It's always to make the other girl look good. It's always to make, the other girl that's lesser experience. Oh, but she looks cute in these shorts, or this, that, and the third. We want you to make her look good so she can be our champion. But and I've had my share of that. And instead of me getting angry and upset about it, it just made me work harder. It made me see that, this business, it still has some work. It still has some things that it needs to work on. So
Yes, definitely. And hopefully they can continue to evolve with how we see Black women, because definitely we're all not the same. We're not monolithic. So it shouldn't necessarily be as hard to book us now in the 21st century because it's 2021 and we're all not the same. And we are right. When it comes to Southern wrestling, the more I'm learning about independent, there really only are so many of us, but I figure the further and the harder we work and the more we prove ourselves and the more doors that will open in terms of, this is just me sort of being positive and sort of manifesting that energy. It's just the more we put ourselves out there and the more harder we work, then the more positions that we will have to be on top. So I'm definitely glad you're speaking to that. And you kind of, I was actually going to ask you more about that a little bit later on, but we can talk about it a little bit more if you like. So I'm going to ask you another question. How were you able to navigate training to become a wrestler, although you are half blind?
It's definitely not easy. My whole left side is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to find a way to not just even stand, but a way to position myself to where I'm able to see on my left side and on my right side, which is using my right eye. It's definitely um it's definitely not been easy, especially, trying to find my placement in the ring, working on myself, trying to execute my moves better. But I don't know. I guess I just roll with the punches. Like I said, this is just, I always felt that this was something that I was meant to do. And, you wanting to accomplish your dream will never be easy. It just
Mm-hmm.
won't. Obstacles will be thrown at you left and right. Some of the hardest things you've ever had to do. Because me personally, just coming out and telling the wrestling world that I am half blind, the first half blind female wrestler, it's hard. It's physical, emotional, mental. It really is. But what I've learned is the fact that I have nothing to prove to anyone but myself. Every time I step in that ring, every time I go toe to toe with my opponent, I just try to be better than what I was last time. I try to have a better match than what I had last time. I try to be bigger. I want to be bigger than ever before. So I feel that, instead of me just whining and feeling sorry for myself, I could, go out and make history and kick some ass with my ass.
Right. And I've actually watched a couple of your clips and everything where it seems like you sort of describe yourself as a wrecking ball. And
Yeah, the
when I
human
see
wrecking
you,
ball.
yeah, and when I
Yeah.
see you, in those videos, smashing your opponents, with your body, it's just like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because you rarely, if ever, see that in women.
Yes.
So it's just like, so to see you doing that, even persevering through, even with your half blindness, is just amazing and it's an inspiration. Plus, I
Thank
really
you.
love your eye patches too.
Oh,
Like,
thank
yeah,
you.
they're so cute. Like, I love them. You just look like an amazing, pretty pirate. It's amazing. Um,
Thank you. I mean, we gonna add style with it. We always gotta add style with what we do. That's just us. Like,
right.
I'm not gonna sit here and just feel, oh, what was me? I'm not gonna feel sorry for myself. Oh no. See, the first thing you're gonna notice is the eye patch. I guarantee you.
Yes.
That's the first thing you're gonna notice. And the fact that I get to wear this, it makes me stand out so much, and I love it. I really do. And I tell people, the only thing that's fake about me is my glass eye.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so and it's great that people always tell me, it's one of my wrestling friends, Theo, he told me, he said, it's not about what you see, it's about what you don't see when you look at the world. Coming out, you see curvy girl, big booty, you eye patch, and that eye patch gets you because it's like, oh wow, that's different. But once you see what I'm about, once you see me throw these buns of steel, once you see that whiplash from my opponent, you'll get like, oh wow, she really truly is the weapon of ass destruction.
Right. All right. So, do you still find time to practice your craft, even in the midst of the hustle and bustle of the independent scene? Because I know,
Always, I have to. I stay
yes.
training. This is something one of my trainers told me, and something that I will always take to the heart. You can't be the best if you're just learning a specific training from one person. You know,
Mm-hmm.
in order to be the best, you got to venture out. You got to train here. You got to train there. You got to train with this person. And that way you can take things, you can take tips and advice and from everybody and put it into what, you know, what makes it best for you. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I want to train with as many people as possible. I want to travel to all the different schools. Yeah, because I can't, like, I'm the WOAD. I'm making history. So in order for me to make history, in order for me to set the bar high as hell, in order for me to set the standard for people like me, you know, I can't just learn from one person. I gotta learn from everybody. I'm never too proud to learn. Never. I'm always humble. If there's, you know, I ask for advice, and you know, I just want to make myself better.
Okay, so have you trained all over the country?
I'm trying to. I'm definitely trying to. I just this past weekend I trained up in Texas with Thunder Rosa and Holiday at the
Mm-hmm.
Dog Pound. So like that was great. That was so much fun. And despite all the storms and all the bad weather, you know, we went in like I always do, because you have to, and not just for yourself, but for the other students that are there too, so they can see how it's done.
Right. And shout out to Thunder Rosa because she's actually been on my show before and she was absolutely amazing. And just everything that she's doing, not only in her own career, but also for the career of others with Mission Pro Wrestling is just absolutely amazing. And persevering through all the storms because Lord the South and our weather God.
Yeah. Oh, it
Woo,
was bad. It was
woo, just a
bad.
part of it. All right. So, how has the culture of independent wrestling, treated you, through your evolution as a star?
Well, evolution as a star. I don't think I'm a star yet. I'm trying, but well, it definitely has its up and downs. Definitely. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and I'm not gonna, you know, crap on people or, you know, try to get sympathy or try to feel sorry for myself. I think that everything I've ever experienced, everything I've ever gone through, basically mold me into the person that I am now. I feel that I'm evolving, but I feel that the WOAD is my final evolutionary stage. This is who I'm meant to be. It feels right. It feels like it's my own. And that's what I want to bring into the wrestling world. Wherever I go, I want to be brought in simply as the WOAD. It's not like, oh, we just want another talent. No, I'm not trying to be something that they need. I want to be something that they've never seen before.
Okay. So, do you also have a fan base as well? Like, are you building a strong fan base?
Hope so. I mean, I have fans in France. I have fans in all over the world, and it's shocking because you know I still feel like I have so much more work to do, and I know I do because I never want to stop. You know, stop making changes for myself. I never want to stop building myself up. I always want to continue building, trying to go on to the next step of what more can I do? How can I get the world to know who the WOAD is? So the fact that I have people all around the country looking at me, it's great and it's humbling at the same time because it only makes me want to be better.
Okay. I kind of noticed a little bit that you have a great following because when I posted that I was going to have you on my show earlier on Twitter and Instagram, it was so many good things that people either said or retweeted and I was just like,
I'm
"Yay! This is
so glad.
great."
Oh wow.
Yeah, like me too. I was just so glad. So as you know, there's been this pandemic, this panorama, this Panasonic that's been affecting everyone. So, how has it affected, your career, and how have you been able to sort of pivot through that?
Well, it definitely put a lot of things on hold for me. Great opportunities, but I just look at it as okay, hey, it just wasn't my time. You know, I can't sit here and dwell on things. It didn't happen, it didn't happen. But you know what, that it also gave me time to really ask myself is if this was what I really truly wanted to do. And you know, with all the surgeries that I've had, with all the obstacles that I've gone through, um, this pandemic, it really, really, really let me see that I was on the right path. Like I know a lot of people think that, oh, hey, this was probably one of the worst things that ever happened to us. Yes, it has. But in my opinion, I feel like it's also one of the best things that happened. It gave the world a reset button, and it gave me time to think. Okay, if you want out, well, here's your chance to be out. Here's your chance to fade away. Here's your chance to go do whatever it is what you want. But if you want to stick to this, then you have to come at it full ass, pun intended. Like you got to go all in if this is something that you truly want to do. And it is. So it just, honestly, I just trained, I work out more, and, I just want to make myself better. And, wrestling recently, getting back in the ring, I 100% have no doubt in my mind that this is where I'm meant to be.
That's good because a lot of people, have been struggling, finding their footing and sort of taking this time to sort of question, are they in the right place in their life? Like, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing here on this earth? And it's making so many people, come have like a come to Jesus moment with themselves. But it's good to hear that you've been able to sort of pivot, and so many of my guests, since I've started the show, have talked about how they've been able to sort of pivot through this hard and sort of difficult time. So I'm glad that you're also one of them as well. So
Thank
kudos to
you.
you with that. So you did kind of allude to this earlier in the interview, but do you have I know I wanted to ask you if you believed it was harder for women of color or specifically black women to pursue wrestling, and why do you think that is?
Oh, definitely.
And how can
Definitely.
it be helped, and how can it, get better?
Honestly, yes. Like I said, even though times are changing, I'm grateful that times are changing. Yeah, we just had two black women main event WrestleMania. I'm grateful to be a part of that. But the thing is with me is like, okay, what's next?
Mhm.
Okay, instead of having our own, main event, which is great, how come we can't just be a part of the first ever women's main event? Why is it that we always have to have our thing? And don't get me wrong, having our thing is great, but it shouldn't just be our thing. We should be included in everything. Like there are some there are promotions here that in the South that barely uses black women. That's sad to say because like I said, it's definitely progression, but it's slow ass progress. And as much as I'll take slow progress over no progress at all, but yeah, I think definitely we need more, not just black female wrestlers, but black female announcers, black female commentators, black female bookers, black female refs. Like we need it all because if we don't hype ourselves up, no one will. They just or at least it'd be harder because we're all trying to claw and we're all trying to get to where we're supposed to be or where we want to be. And yet this business is just telling us, okay, well, you're going to be the last. We're going to get everybody else, but you're going to be last. And it's like, no, this business is big enough for everybody. And we need to show that, hey, just because you're a black female wrestler, you don't have to act all hood and ghetto. You don't have to talk about your hair. If that's what you want to do, that's fine, but you don't have to be the stereotype. People look at me and it's like, wow, yeah, of course I know you're gonna stare at my behind, but you know what else you're gonna do? You also talk about it when I knock somebody the hell out. So yeah, okay. You want to say how big my butt is, but you know what these bouncers still can do? These bouncers still can withstand the hit of a steel chair. So yeah, so trust me, definitely we need more black women in every aspect of wrestling, not just in wrestling, but in this business. I feel like the more that we show that, hey, we're not all the same, or hey, we don't have this one gimmick, or hey, we don't need to be the token black girl, I think that we can definitely help future generations.
All of that is really good that you said that because I was just talking on my last episode about how I feel that there should be more women as a whole, but also definitely black women behind the scenes outside of also just being announcers, being commentators, and being, writers of stories and stuff like that. Because sometimes I find that in wrestling, with most of the writers sometimes and most of the people behind the scenes being men, it's that they sort of show women from only one perspective or from the male gaze as opposed to from the female gaze. And I feel like all around that needs to happen. There needs to be, a shift of women being in these positions so there can be more diversity in how women are perceived, not only in the independents but definitely in the mainstream as well. And then you mentioned the main event of WrestleMania, which was Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. I loved it very much and I was very proud of those girls. However, I loved how you mentioned that you wish that they were just in the main event, the very first female main event. I felt that way too because a part of me felt that Sasha and also Becky and Charlotte should have been the main event of the WrestleMania in Texas. Because the main event that they did have, which was Triple H and Roman Reigns, wasn't up to par with that match at all, in my opinion. And if they were going to have a main event, then that one should have been it. And if they were going to have the first women's main event, you know, they it really could have had, more diversity in it as opposed to just, Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda. As much as I love those three, deep in my heart, there is a little bit of a slow progress when it comes to black women in those, positions. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that because that's something I've sort of been holding back in my mind, but I don't really talk that much about. But I never really like said it out loud, and I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, because it's like, people, it makes them uncomfortable to talk about. I'm like, good. It should make you uncomfortable because it's the truth and the truth is uncomfortable. Like somebody, like I posted a clip on my social media after the main event and someone commented, they was like, oh, it's not about color. It's about the fact that the WWE, these were the only two girls that could live up to that. I'm like, no,
No,
it's not. There were
right,
plenty of black women back in the day. You telling me Jazz couldn't pull that off? You telling me
right.
Jazz cannot pull off a main event WrestleMania? You gonna sit there? No, are you kidding me? You telling me Awesome Kong? You really gonna sit there and tell me Naomi couldn't have done that? Like, no. And then they may not like to hear it, but yeah, a lot. I truly feel that wrestling has missed out on a lot of those Bianca Belair main events simply because they didn't believe in black women.
Right.
And it's like you can't, we can wear our hair any way that we want, but we're black. We will always have our melanin. That will always show. And I feel that, black women, you can't make them look anything other than being black. We don't have, we don't have blue eyes. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? But it's like, you cannot not make a black woman not look black. And I feel that, if you are solely based on trying to make a person or a woman not look a specific way because you don't have faith in her or you don't feel that she can pull off, or if you simply just don't know how to book her simply based on the color of her skin, then that kind of says a lot about you as not just as a person, but as a booker. Because, equal opportunity is exactly what it means, equal opportunity. It doesn't mean, oh, hey, let's give this person this opportunity because, she doesn't look black or, equal opportunity is giving everybody the equal opportunity. It's for the black girls, for the white girls, for the Mexican girls, for the trans girl. It's for everybody.
Right.
And I feel that, wrestling missed out a lot of those type matches simply because, they didn't either want to push a black woman or they didn't have faith in black women. But either way, it's like we've always shown that we can bring it. We've always shown that. And it's just now, like I said, I'll take slow progress over no progress at all. But, I want all of it. I want everything. I want black women to really, really, leave their mark in this wrestling business. No more as talent enhancers, no more as jobbers, no more as making this girl look good just because she's cute. Like, no, if you are the best, then your color, this color of your skin shouldn't matter.
Right. And even, yeah, and even if the color of your skin doesn't matter, if you see the color of my skin, that shouldn't make it seem like, oh well, she did this because she's black. No, like, no, well, let, like, see my color and see my heritage and respect my heritage, but just know that that's a motivation for me to be who I am. So I really appreciate you, speaking more about that, more about your experience as a black woman in that. So how important is it to also represent for full figured women in wrestling?
Oh, I have to do it for the big girls,
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy because I wasn't always like this. I always felt that, back then when I started out, I felt that if I lost a few pounds, or if I looked more like this girl, or if I was smaller, then I would get booked more, and that that would be what they want of me. But it's not about trying to be what it is that they want you to be. It's what
Right.
works for you. And I told myself, you know what, no more. I'm not a small girl, and I will never be a small girl, and I love that. And that's no shade to the small girls,
Right.
but you know it's about loving and accepting yourself for who you are. And growing up, I used to watch Rikishi, of course. I love Rikishi, and I would see how he would use his body as a weapon. I'm like, why can't I do that? When I started in wrestling, I was so insecure about my rear end. Like, I would always try to cover it up in my match, and the fans would see that and they would point that out, and it would make me feel even more nervous until somebody told me, they was like, you know what? Use that.
Mm-hmm.
Use them bonds of steel. You use that ass. Knock your opponent out. It's there. Might as well. They're gonna talk about it anyway. Might as well give them something to talk about. So I told myself, as long as I am healthy, and as long as I'm at peace with myself, I love my body. And it took me a minute to get to where I am. But now, like, that's all I want to push out until anybody that that's insecure about how they look or feel that they have to look a certain way. No, the hell you do not. You be you, because you know why? There is only one of you. I'm pretty sure there are millions of muscle jack dudes, or small girls, but there's only one of you. And if you got a full figure body, use that your body can be your most dangerous weapon. And being the WOAD, like, that's something I really want to push, especially for Black women, because look, we've always, people looked at us as being the vixen, the sexual, the one that dances in the music videos. It's all about twerking. It's like, nah. You may look at this behind, but this behind will knock people out, and it has. So, and I just want to show and push that your body can be your most dangerous weapon.
Right. And I love all of that. Like, all of that makes me feel good because I'm sort of, on that journey of trying to embrace my body as it is now, because I used to not be as thick as I am. You can't tell now, but I'm not, I was a little bit smaller in high school, but then it's like I went to college and then stress happened and then eating happened. And then I just basically started gaining weight. And it's just now I'm sort of on this journey of basically accepting my body for what it is and for how it is, and knowing that it's still beautiful, even though sometimes at times you sort of beat yourself up for not looking how you used to look. But it's just like now I'm trying to embrace the fact that I'm still very much beautiful, even though I have changed. So I love that about you. That makes me feel so glad that you do
Thank
stuff
you.
like that. It reminds me of Monique in the 2000s. Like, oh my god, like that was amazing. That was a cool era. Um so who has been some of your favorite opponents, and who are some opponents that you would love to face in the future?
Okay, now as far as me facing, honestly, anybody, like, anybody. I'll take on men, women. It doesn't matter. Anybody can get these buns of steel. Like, you think you can go toe to toe with the wall? Okay, fine. Show me what you got. Just don't get mad at me when you get a concussion, because that's what I do. That's something that is guaranteed. You will see bright lights. Um, as far as my favorite opponents, honestly, oh gosh, there's so many. There's so many. I love, honestly, going toe to toe with Genocide has been some of my favorite matches to date. It's always great to go against someone that's so much more bigger than you. She's such a challenge. You know, you got to get the monster down. You got to make sure that this woman does not wipe you out, because, you know, it's in the name, genocide. And then you got genocide coming your way, that's coming to wipe you out. So going toe to toe with her, like, it's just great. I love, you know, wrestling her. She's such a challenge, and she always brings it. And I always have to be on my P's and Q's with her. Gosh, my match against honestly, I gotta say, Alejandra Lyon. Even though she didn't get the W, that girl is gonna be great. And you know, she definitely has all the makings to be a star. And I love my Mission Pro match with her. She really, really brought it. It's just, you know, it just wasn't enough to take down the WOAD. But yeah, I love wrestling her, and I would love to have another match with her again. I really wanted to have a match. I really want to have a match. Hopefully, if she ever returns back to wrestling, with Faye Jackson, I would love to have that one-on-one match with her, something that's never happened before. And yeah, I'm just sad that it's never happened, but it's hopefully something to look forward to if she returns. I hope she does, because I don't think anybody can stay away from wrestling too long.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Wrestling's kind of like a drug that way. It's just like not like not promoting drugs or anything, but it's just like it's kind of like a drug. It's like one minute you say you stop, and then the next minute it hooks you right back in. You know,
Yeah,
you're like, I retired, and you may be gone for like maybe a year or two or three, maybe at the most.
yeah,
Then you wind up popping right back up.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So do you have any like aspirations to become a wrestler in the mainstream, like with WWE or AEW or Impact?
Oh, definitely. You know, whatever company wants to make history by having a first half blonde female wrestler, they know where to call me. They know where to hit me up. And me personally, I want the WOAD to be a worldwide name. I want it to be as big as The Rock, you know? And I know that's high aspirations, but heck, if I don't set it for myself, who will? Yeah, and
Right.
heck, I even want to be bigger than that. So yeah, I want the WOAD to be a worldwide global phenomenon. I want to have stadiums filled with fans chanting and screaming, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, that is what I want. I want to leave my mark in this wrestling business, unlike anybody has ever had before or ever will. Like, that's really what my goal is, and to inspire more people like me. Like, if you're visually impaired, or if you're blind or half blind, just never give up on your dream. Or if there's anything, like if you lost a limb, if you lost an arm, just never give up on your dream, because you know this is your life. Can't nobody tell you how to live it. You know, I've been told no countless times, but you know, I pushed myself even harder, because I know that this was something that I was meant to do, and nobody can tell me no. And I told myself there is only two ways I won't succeed. The first one is if I were to go completely blind. That's the only way I want to succeed in wrestling, if I were to go completely blind. The other way is if I stop. And I know I'm not going to stop. So, like, I'm 1,000% sure that I will succeed in everything I put my mind to. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it's not even about, you know, if now, it's about when. And until that happens, I'll sit and I will cheer my friends on. I'll cheer other wrestlers on. But yeah, I'm sitting here. I'm just waiting patiently. You know what they say? They save the best for last. So I'll sit and wait.
All right. So Who are your top five? This is more of a fun question. Who are your top five wrestlers, male, female, or non-binary?
And now,
Now or in the past, or a mixture of all of it, just, whatever.
is Stone Cold, The Rock, uh, Booker T, Jazz, and Rikishi.
Okay. That's pretty solid. So how excited are you for next weekend? We have the Belladonna division event Genesis coming up. So how pumped are you? I know I'm pumped for it because I'm working it, as a commentator for the very first time. But how pumped are you?
Well, I'm kind of excited and kind of upset about it because I feel that I should have been the Belladonna Division champ a long time ago. But now they want to have this tournament, and that's fine. Okay, it'll just give me more opponents to knock down. It'll give me more faces to misshape. It'll give me more bones to break. So that's on the Belladonna division because I should have easily been made champion by now. But if they want to go ahead and have this tournament, I'll play along. I'll happily play along. And even though they've yet to release my opponent, which is all fine and dandy. Yeah, whoever chooses to get in the ring with the WOAD, just don't take this ass whooping personal. Like I said, it's what I do best. So yeah, do not take this Buns of Steel beat down to heart.
Well, we definitely cannot wait to see that beatdown and whoever is going to be taking it next Saturday at the Gaston Mall. Please get your tickets, guys. It's going to be cool. So, what does the future hold for the WOAD?
Everything. Everything and anything.
That's probably the shortest answer I've gotten to that question, but I love it though. It was very concise. Well, thank you, ma'am, for coming on the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. So, if you want to take this time to put yourself over and tell people where they can find you and follow you,
yes, I'm very active on social media. Especially Twitter. I'm trying to get into TikTok more, but it's mostly just me posting dog videos of all the dogs that I've acquired. But yes, I'm on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram and I'm on Facebook page. Just type in the search bar the WOAD and you'll see me. And if you also want to get some merch, you can get this on You can get this on Fully Gimmick. And I also have the face mask. It's on luchaware.art. If you want to get face masks and t-shirts, because we all got to wear face masks. I'm also on prowrestlingtees.com/thewoad. And I'm also on YouTube, too, if you want to look up some of my matches. Yeah, it's going to be a sight to see May 15th.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. And also as a bonus nugget, girl, did you really do your own theme song?
I did.
That's fire.
I had to. Because I wanted my own theme song, but it's hard trying to explain the weapon of ass destruction and not have it come off sexually. I'm a female, I got a big ass. So trying to tell somebody, hey, I want this to be about the brutality, not the sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just hard to do that. So I told myself, you know what? How can they understand what the WOAD is if I don't understand what the WOAD is? So the only way for me to do that is to show them who the WOAD is in my own words. And that's what I had to do.
Well, I find that that's really cool. You're kind of in the same vein as, Shawn Michaels and a lot of different people, have been when they perform their own theme songs, like the Usos and Naomi and them. So that's a cool thing that you did your own song. So I actually listened to a couple of seconds of it. I was like, this is fire. Yeah. But thank you again for being on my show. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for you. And yes, you are a star because I said so. So
thank you for having me so much. Really, this was so much fun.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.